Welcome to week 3 of Beat the Spread of the Ncaa. And obviously last week, it wasn't a great week like I had in week 1. So what happened in this week that just passed? But what happened? I went 1-2 compared to the week before where I went 3-0. And what happened was I had picked in Alabama at -31.5, who decided not to show up until like the final minutes of the game, and they just went crazy and they almost covered the spread, but they did not. I had Oklahoma State, which I had told you guys, change Oklahoma State to what? -7.5. They won by 8 points. So you would have covered it right there if you did it that way. If you were left the spread as is, you would have lost. So thank God I changed the spread where I did not lose all 3. And now I had picked Michigan at +7.5. They just got annihilated. They look like they did not show up. They were one of the most horrible teams out there. I'm telling you, by the end of the season, they will not be ranked. This Michigan team, especially their offense, is so horrible. I mean, I should have never picked them. This was the worst pick I probably made in my entire life. I just jumped on it because I was like, you know what? Michigan's home. You know what? A 7.5 point spread. I think Michigan's going to cover that spread. I thought the game would be much closer than what it was. And I give Texas a lot of credit. Texas is much better than what I thought they were. And I'm just going to bring up one other game, even though it wasn't in pick 3, because I'm a Notre Dame fan. What in the world did they do? I mean, you got to be kidding me. How do you lose to this team? I mean, you just don't show up. But the week before, you beat a team that is ranked. What is going on in Notre Dame? I mean, they got to do something. First off, fire the coaches, fire all the coaches, because something's not being done right over there. Now, they just lost the game. They probably just lost any chance of making it to the playoffs because of this loss. They lost to a team that is not going to be ranked at all this year, more than like, watch. This is their win. I mean, if this team makes it to the rankings, I hope they do, because then I will feel much better about that loss, okay? But please, I mean, I don't see this team ever being ranked at all this year, and they just lost to a team right now is probably not even ranked in the top 50. This was the most embarrassing loss in Notre Dame history that I've seen over the past 20 years. Not only that, you are a 28-point favorite at home. I can say on the road you lose because you're on the road. The road is tough to play in college football. But at home, you did not show up. You guys were a disgrace. So now, enough talk of last week. Now, let's get started of this week. Who am I picking this week? And now, here we go. Alabama at Wisconsin. Alabama is a 16-point favorite over under 51.5. Who am I going to pick? I'm still going to pick Alabama to cover 16-point spread. Over, under, I'm going to pick the under. I just think Wisconsin doesn't have the offense. They usually have pretty good defense. I think Alabama covers between 20 to 24 points. Next up, LSU at South Carolina. LSU, 7-point favorite, over under 50.5. I'm going to pick South Carolina. I'm going to pick the under because week 1, LSU's offense did not show up. And also, LSU is not the team that they were last year. So they're not going to have that high explosive offense. If it was a different team, maybe I would pick the over here, but it's not. And it would be a total different over. Who am I picking right here? I'm picking South Carolina at +7. If you want to buy a half a point, make it 7.5, just to be safe. Over under 50.5. I'm picking the under. Lock those in. Lock those bets in. Let's get up to the next one. Boston College at Missouri. Over under is 53.5. Missouri, 17-point favorite at home. Missouri is very hot. It's secretly hot. People don't know that. Boston College, yes, they beat Florida State and they beat a non-ranked team last week. A lot of people are jumping on Boston College just because of that. Florida State is a garbage team this year. They're not the team that they were last year. So who would you pick? I'm going to pick Missouri. They have back-to-back shutouts. They have not given up 1 point this entire season. Over under 53.5. Due to the fact that Missouri's defense has been unstoppable, I'm going to pick the under. Lock those in. Missouri minus 17. Over under is 53.5. Lock that under in both of them. Next up, Tulane at Oklahoma. Tulane is a feisty team sometimes. They can put up some points. Oklahoma can also put up some points. So now, what are the spreads? Oklahoma minus 13.5. Over under 47.5. Who am I picking? Simple. Oklahoma's a better team. They're probably going to win by 14 to 17 points. Oklahoma, lock that in at minus 13.5. Lock the over in at 47.5. Next up, Oregon at Oregon State. This is a rival. I know Oregon is a powerful team, but you go into Oregon State, and this is always a tight game between these two. I'm going to pick who? Oregon State, based on the fact that they are home and they are getting 16 points. Over under is 50.5. And what would you pick? Simple, you got to pick the over. Oregon always plays those high-scoring games. I know with this being like a rivalry right here with the Oregon State, I'm still going to pick the over because you may see a little short based off the fact that Oregon can put up points. Lock that in at Oregon State plus 16 and lock in the over at 50.5. Next up, Georgia at Kentucky. Georgia's a 24-point favorite. At Kentucky, over under is 45.5. The over, I'm going to lock that in at 45.5. Lock that over in. And who are you picking? I mean, it's going to be a tough one. I think it's going to be a close spread. But due to the fact that Georgia's defense has been playing good, I do believe they're going to put up some points for Kentucky. So Georgia is going to give up some points, and Georgia's going to have to rely on that offense a little bit more in this game than they did in the last two games. But I'm still going to pick Georgia until they prove me wrong because they've been playing good. Obviously, they've been playing the scrums of the league, but now this is week 3 where games start to get real right here. So you got to lock that in at Georgia minus 24 and lock the next one in on the over at 45.5. And next up, last but not least, gigantic spread. The hottest offense out there right now, I believe, in all of college football. They have a really good quarterback. Kentucky State at Tennessee. Tennessee is explosive, extremely high. First week, they won 63-0. They can put up points like that. This team reminds me of the team that they had 2 years ago. The way their offense is clicking. The spread is Tennessee is favored by 49. Who are you picking? They won 2 weeks ago by 63. It was 63-0. Over under 62.5. Based off the fact of what they did in week 1, you have no choice but to take Tennessee at minus 49. Lock that in. And also take the over at 62.5. So lock those two in. Next up, here comes the best part of the show, is the pick 3.
Baby water! Baby water!
So now, after all these picks that I just told you who I like, who am I picking for my pick 3? I mean, it's a tough decision. There's a lot of bets out there I really do like. These are my favorite ones right here. And here we go. The over on the Oklahoma game, which is 47.5. That's my number 1 pick on the pick 3. Lock that in now. The number 2 pick is Missouri at minus 17. And with this bet, if you want to buy a half a point, because a lot of games are won by 3, 7, 10, 14, and 17, you put it on at 16.5. Take it. Missouri, back-to-back shutouts that have not given up 1 point the entire season. Doesn't matter who they're playing. That defense is playing good, and Missouri usually has a really good defense. So do not sleep on this team. And my number 3 pick is the over on the Tennessee game, which is at 62.5. Tennessee's offense is on fire right now. You gotta take the over, and usually when these spreads are so high where it says the other team needs like 13, 14 points, if Tennessee were to cover, usually it goes over. So that's what usually is the smarter bet. It's not smart to take Tennessee at minus 49. So that's why I'm doing the over right here. And next up is who is the lock of the week? So next up is the lock of the week. And who am I picking? I just gave you 3 of my parlay, so it's gonna be one of them. And my lock of the week is simple. It's the over on the Oklahoma versus Tulane. Tulane, like I said, is a little feisty. Their offense sometimes is good. And last year, they also had some pretty good offense. So I love this over. I think they're going to score over 60 points in this game. So lock that in. Take the over on Oklahoma versus Tulane. And everyone, thank you for watching. And please do not forget to hit the like and subscribe button.